What's up, y'all? All right, I'm super excited for us to make Schlegelville a reality. And so, first of all, how we're going to do this is on Google Classroom. I've posted the picking order where you get to pick your lots. Now, the number that you're assigned on Google Classroom is not necessarily the lot that you have. What it is it allows you, it's the order in which you get to choose your lots. So I probably should have lettered them. My bad. But you can go through and select, if you're number one, you get to pick any lot you want. I get last pick, and it's very important to note that Matthew gets the second to last pick. So mine's just a little bit worse, Matthew. Just thought I'd bring that to light under these circumstances. What we're going to go over today are kind of the rules for constructing your home. And what I'd like you to do if to kind of think and plan this out. This is something I just love to do for fun. I love to sit down with like Google SketchUp or a pen and paper and sketch out different home designs and what they might look like and how they might function. We're going to go over the basics of some architectural terms, and I'm going to talk about my favorite architect in this video. He's probably like everybody's favorite architect, but whatever, I don't care. We're going to move on. Okay, so what is architectural design? This is the process and the product of planning, designing, and constructing buildings. So constructing, an architect is not doing any constructing. That's where the product, okay? They help produce the constructions. Yes, basically, this is what's going on. So the Museum of the North is a perfect example of what like an architect would do versus an engineer, right? This building is completely irrationally shaped, but it looks really cool. So that comes with a cost, obviously. As an architect, you try and build this kind of crazy looking, maybe this crazy looking structure, come up with a method to make it possible, help to come up with a method to make it possible. But you're also thinking about function. So having these really weird shapes for a museum kind of makes sense because it's separating the museum into these separate sections where you can host different themes and displays. So I love this museum. I think it's great. I think it's very crazily shaped. But when you talk about like the aesthetics of the building, that was something that an architect did. They came up with this incredibly geometric and kind of appealing looking design, which is cool. So how does that, and I've gone over this before, but we'll just review, how does that in comparison to like what an engineer does? So an architect is going to come up with some design for something, and then architect doesn't have to have the knowledge to say, hey, this is going to be, in order for this to be a reality, like they're just imagining something. And it's actually, I think it's kind of the way that it should be. You should have someone that kind of is disconnected from reality, because if someone's always thinking rationally, it's hard to dream up stuff that's really, really cool. So, we have this architect that can dream up something that's maybe amazing, and then a realistic, an engineer, you guys are the ones that are like, okay, look, this is possible, but we're going to have to change these things and these things and these things. Okay, perfect example of the difference between an architect and an engineer and a construction worker is when you're like building a wall. An architect's going to draw like where the opening is. An engineer is going to say, if you have an opening that wide, then that door frame is going to need a header that is this thick to be able to distribute the stress from the roof, so on and so forth. So they're taking the ideas and making them safe, making them up to code, making them a reality, basically, is what an engineer does. They're taking a imaginative design and turning it into a real design. And an engineer's not probably building, they're coming and inspecting, make sure people are doing things the correct word. And then you have your builder. So it's kind of this trickle-down effect. But yeah, I actually think that's really cool to have the designer kind of disjointed from the person that's making it a reality. But the engineer is like the middleman between these people. Okay. My favorite architect is Frank Lloyd Wright. for like the reason I guess he's more approachable for people is because he does a lot of like residences and like cool dream homes or whatever. But it's just his imagination. It's like something that you'd think of as a kid, but he's an adult and he made these buildings that are just anyone would want to live there. They're so cool. We went to his first home in Chicago when I was there, and I think he had like 5 fireplaces in this house. It was crazy. I mean, that's how they heated the house. So a lot of his designs weren't really keeping energy efficiency in mind. You know, so that's where like kind of the engineers are going to step in and say, this is going to cost this so much to heat. You're going to have a lot of trouble. This room is going to be really cold. But also, I mean, Frank Lloyd Wright is really famous for having these incredible designs, but also making the house kind of looked like the house was almost emerging from the land that it was built on. So this one, it looks like you have this big rock chimney or fireplace or structure coming out of the house. Looks like someone's extending from the ground. So he was really good at taking a house and blending it into its surroundings. Also, as an architect, it's not just about design. You're not throwing, function out the window entirely. It's also your job to make sure that the house is oriented in such a way that the motion of inside the house makes sense. Frank Lloyd Wright said he just could not stand rectangular homes. He wanted to have the house be geometrically almost confusing. It made it interesting to live in and kind of created separate spaces. And so, but it is important to think about function. Where are people going to be? What's the flow of traffic going to look like in the house? That kind of thing is also part of an architect's job. And architects don't just do residences, they do large buildings as well. So thinking about the layout, floor plans, stuff like that. So here we go. This is my favorite of his designs. It's called the Solar Hemicycle. And the reason I love it is, it's kind of looks like a hobbit hole or something, but it's kind of built into the ground. And the house is one room, or at least it appears as almost one room. You have this main living area, but it's like you can have one room that's different rooms at the same time. The windows are oriented in such a way that when the sun rises, it's going to be kind of shining into different parts of the house at different times. So you're having sunlight being captured throughout the day, which is incredible. As it rises over here, it's going to rotate throughout the sky and then be shining over here when it's done. So I really love this design because he had to think about where the sun was going to be. It's kind of this imaginative big room. It's built into the land. And I've always wanted to try and design a place like this. And it seems like an awesome design for an Alaskan house, built into the ground using the earth berms to try and keep your house warm, because earth can act as somewhat of an insulator for your home. Huge fan of this house. And I think if I could have a house that looked like anything, it would be this. Yeah, pretty awesome. All right, let's keep moving on. All right, what are your rules? What are the rules for your house in Mind Test for our design? You must have a basement, and that basement must be made of stone and or concrete. So you can choose from one of these 3 options. Typically basement, or like your foundation, is either basement style, where you have these like concrete side walls and then a basement on the bottom. And sometimes you don't. That can be kind of dirt as well, and you'd have concrete pilings for support. That are in the dirt, so you can be almost a combination of these 2, but you usually have like a basement floor. You have the side walls that are with rebar and concrete, and then your beams would be running across your foundation, and you'd have supporting structures in the middle, so on and so forth. There's also post and pad, which is how it's done in a lot of Alaskan locations when you have risk of flooding, or you're building on a hill and you want to do things at different levels. Is another spot you do those. Or building on permafrost, you can adjust the legs and level your house as needed. Third option is slab on grade, which is just a flat slab, meaning there's no basement. So basically, you're also going to have the restriction that you have to have at least 2 stories on your house. And so if you do slab on grade, then you have to be able to see 2 stories above the ground. If you do basement, the basement can count as one of the stories. Oh, there it is. You must have two levels on your house. At least. You can have more if you want. I want to challenge you into you just designing a house that's a rectangle. Think about function and shape of your rooms. Before, what does the flow of your house look like? I don't want you to just, I mean, if you want to just design the home you live in, that's great, but I want you to stretch your imagination. I want you to think about what would be the coolest house to live in? What's something that I haven't seen before that would function really well? And yeah, something along those lines. Okay, every room with an exterior wall must have a window. So anything that's on the outside, you got to have a window so that light can be coming into your house. Perfect. We're going to get into utilities later, but these are the minimum room requirements for your home. Must contain the following rooms: kitchen, at least 2 bedrooms, at least 1 bathroom, a garage, at least 1 common living space, and at least 1 kind of utility room. So that is the minimum for your house. I would invite you to imagine a little bit more and maybe make it a little more extravagant if you can. You must have doors leaving every bedroom to the outside. So there has to be legal egress, is what that's called. You have to be able to escape in the case of emergency while you're asleep, or sleepwalk to the corner store. In the front of your house, you need to have a door. In the backyard, you must have a door, and joining each room. So you shouldn't have any rooms that are isolated and don't have methods of getting in or out of. I want you to try and organize your property. So ideally, when we are done with our property, I'm hoping that we will be able to drive down the street and we'll be able to see this organized neighborhood with a park in the middle. And that's what I'm really hoping for. And so it would be really cool if you could try and, we have grass where it looks nice. We plant flowers and bushes, and you guys can plant trees and put things where you want to make your house look really, really pretty and your yard look really, really pretty. So basically what I'm saying is you should landscape your yard. Have it organized, make it look nice, and then we can drive around when we're done and appreciate everybody's homes. All right, cool. Number 7, you must have a common outdoor living space as well. You can cover it if you want. You do not have to, but some sort of outdoor living space would be preferred. Could be a deck, could be like this is called a pergola, and you can have like a little patio in the back. That's fine too. Doesn't matter. Property must have a driveway that connects the house, the garage area with the road and to other people's homes. So basically, you gotta have a driveway that goes from your road up to your house and into your garage. Number 10, all living spaces must be covered. You have to have a roof on all of the living spaces in your home. That makes sense. Okay. A bathroom on each floor. I guess I changed that later. So let's go ahead and make that 2 bathrooms. Sorry, guys. Number 11 supersedes number 4. So I guess I want you to have 2 bathrooms. We're going to maybe have time to do the plumbing in our house too. Number 12, buildings should be made out of realistic materials, aka, oh no, I can't really see that. AKA no diamond block houses. So no building out of diamonds or something like that. You should build out of an appropriate material. So like wood and wood for the sides of your houses or like block or something is perfectly acceptable. Okay. I've put a link to this website. You can just, it's just realtormagazine.com or something along those lines. Home and design, these are the residential styles. So if you guys are to buy a home in the future, let's make this a little bit bigger. You guys are to buy a home in the future. These are the different kind of styles of homes, depending, and obviously certain styles are going to be different than others in different regions of the country. So certain styles are going to be more prevalent in different areas of the United States. But these are the different styles that you're likely to see. So you might be cruising for a house or driving around, and they will, these kind of architectural themes are prevalent all over the United States. So you can look at these and see the key characteristics if you're looking for some inspiration for your home. Another thing that I would invite you to do is if one of them really jumps out to you as, man, that's really cool, that's really pretty, I've always wanted a house like that, or I like the style, then go to Google Images, type in, let's say you really like the like a split level home, or you really like the Victorian. I think Victorian's gonna be kind of hard, but would be totally cool for you to do. If you really like Victorian style houses, then maybe go onto Google Images and just peruse through shed style homes or ranch style homes, and try and find one that really jumps out at you as cool, or maybe alter one slightly, and you're going to try and build that for your neighborhood. The other thing is like, how are we going to plan this out? How are you going to come up with a design? Oh, well, we'll go to that in just a sec. What I want you guys to do to come up with your design is, on the website, I've shared a sheet that is grid squares like this. It says sheet 1 down here. And what I want you to do is, you can kind of, in Minecraft, we're all in meter by meter grids. So you can kind of select a number of squares. You know, you're going to count them out in the game and see how wide your lot is and where your home's going to be. But what you can do is, if you hold control here, I guess it's shift. Oh, it's not working. Whatever. You can select a number of rows and fill it in with gray, or you can color code blocks in different colors and try and outline what you think your house is going to look like. I know I did 2 colors there, but whatever. Maybe this is your door to the back patio. You can figure out how many squares, and that way you have kind of a reference on your home and how it's going to be built. And I, for one, am very excited to see what you guys come up with. So you guys pick a color. You can go through and map out the layout of your home, and then label it. So if this is the basement, you come down here and name this basement, right? And then if you want to make a copy of that for the second floor, if it's exactly the same, you can duplicate it, and then copy of basement. Let's go ahead and rename that first floor, like that, or ground level floor, whatever you want. And then you can alter the layouts of each of them individually and start adding in walls for rooms, locations of things, so on and so forth. So this is a good method for you to try and lay out the floor plan of your home, as the blocks in the Google Sheet will represent the blocks in Mindtest. Okay? I'm going to delete this and reset this. So anyways, the other thing that's important to keep in mind on your house is, this is an architectural term, this is kind of fun to say, the facade. The facade is like, what does your house look like from street view? What is the design? What did the architect dream up? So what does your facade look like? And I want you to think about, when people are driving by, what are they going to see, kind of a thing. And so if it were me approaching this assignment, your assignment again is to create this house in Mindtest. I don't know if I said that in reality, but for me, how would I approach this? I would think about a house that I'd want to live in, or a house that I admired, and maybe take different styles and combine them together. And then I would kind of sketch it out on paper. What does the facade look like? What does the front of my house, what do I want it to look like when you drive up and you see that? So do that, and then I would approach my floor plan maybe on paper first, and draw out the layout roughly and just sketch it out a little bit, and then come and try and, because once you start drawing in the Google Sheet and start coloring, you're gonna have to start seeing how those blocks interact, so on and so forth. If you want to mark a door in the sheet, you can just, if you want to mark a door in the sheet, you can just click here and click a reset, and that'll indicate where a door is going to be, right? So you go through and place where all your doors are going to be. A door is 1 block wide. You can make double doors as well. So another thing that would be kind of fun for class, and we'll do this in class, but go to this website, and if I can find an architectural term that you've not heard before, and we're going to share them back with the class. So find a couple that you've not heard before, and we're going to take turns, learn what they are, and we're going to take turns explaining them. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Can't wait to see you in Mindtest this week, and hope you're having a great week. See ya.